So this is Joseph Castleman McDaniel. Full government name here.
Joseph, what's your address currently? We're just kidding. You don't have to share. But what we are curious about is what you've been eating.
Literally, I made myself like chicken and rice just before I hopped
Was
on
it
here,
good?
so there
Chicken
you
and
go.
rice?
And like grilled,
Nice.
like orange chicken, like
I just grilled it and made rice and put it together. Yeah,
That's a
very
classic
simple.
coming back from a trip meal.
It's like my simple
Yeah.
bulking meal, you know.
Parth. Dare I ask, what have you been eating?
Well, Trent, I most recently went to friend of the show, Sophia Alexis's house for an early Christmas dinner with her mom's side of the family. Her dad made a turkey dinner, like mashed potatoes. I guess it was kind of like Thanksgiving dinner. But as we noted on our Thanksgiving episode, I don't usually eat Thanksgiving food because my family, we just cook like a new cuisine every year because we're not white. Yeah, I had some mashed potatoes and gravy, some sweet potatoes, some yams, some green beans, salted green beans. Does that sound appetizing to you, Trent?
Well, you described to me that is your Thanksgiving tradition, and I was describing it in envy to someone else. Once I believe, friend off the show, Tamara, made the observation that all Thanksgiving food kind of tastes the same, and once she said that, I was like, you're right. So I think I'd rather might do what you do every Thanksgiving, which is have some different crazy cuisine
Sure.
that you have never tried and get to learn about, rather than having the same green beans that are just okay.
But Trent, what have you been eating most recently?
Maybe the reason orange chicken was on my brain, and why I had to. Castleman, usually we're not just like. Usually, I mean, we have to kill time, so usually we'll be like, oh, and then I put salt and pepper on this. I mean, we really get down to the nitty gritty. That's why I was just like chicken, like that's an animal, like who knows.
It's all purpose, you know. It's good protein. That's all I know about
Good. So you snap the chicken's neck, and then you know.
Well, Castleman, he does what's necessary.
Good. I had orange chicken and lo mein that my mom brought home after work, and then I warmed up a piece of brownie with some walnuts in it in the microwave for 30 seconds. You see, Castleman, we talk about the preparation too. We get into it.
Okay.
And then I got out the ice cream, and then I put that on top, and then it melted a little bit, ate it. It was
yummy.
good. And now we're here.
And what's also good is our intro. Welcome back to Craft Services, where we talk about the movies. Each week we talk about a film and hopefully have a crew member of that film to talk with us about their experience working on the picture. This week is pretty interesting because we've actually got our guest here with us.
In the room. He's right behind me, isn't he?
Well, he's actually just on this call. But
He's just right beside us.
it is. It's my old friend. Maybe we've known each other, like 8 years or something, 7 years at least.
Something like that, yeah.
This is Joseph Castleman McDaniel, who I will only call Castleman because that's what I know you as.
And you guys, it's not
Alright.
like you were like rubbing elbows in school. You kids are friends of the internet, right?
Yeah, we met
It's
on
true.
Twitter.
Back when
it was Twitter.
cool to do that.
You described that this came to pass because you just liked a bunch of the same tweets, and you realized you both liked Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
It's funny because like meeting people was such like a regular occurrence back then that I don't even think about it. Just like I would randomly meet people online, and then I would just end up like chatting with them almost daily on Twitter. It was just I don't feel like you get that anymore.
There's sort of a big bad
on-
now behind it all. I mean, not that there was ever a good guy
Yeah.
behind it, but there's a bigger bad behind it now, which has sort of made that impossible.
Yeah, now that it's X, it's very much that environment doesn't really exist anymore. I'd just say. We ended up just meeting up for the first time this year, just because I happened to be up in New York, working on a movie. And then I don't know the meeting. I don't know. And then we just needed people for the next movie I was doing in New York, so I just recommended Parth, and everybody loved him.
How'd you know the Columbia people?
Emil, my buddy up in New York. Shout out to Emil. We're just doing a lot of shout outs in this first few minutes. Emil just, I actually got Emil into Columbia.
That was nice.
I was one of his references. Yeah, well, when I was working on what we're about to talk about, he asked me as my current title on the film to write him a letter of recommendation to Columbia, and he got in.
That's kind of crazy. And you guys are just like boys? Like, that'd be so funny if I just asked, like, if I was like, hey, Parth, I need to make, like, a major life change. Can you play a role in that? Can you write a letter that says, like, I'm cool?
Well, I wouldn't ask me. At this point, I would ask you to ask Castleman.
I'm like, Castleman, we podcasted that one time. Can you get me into Harvard Law School?
I don't have any connections there at the moment, but I'll let you know.
At the moment. To get into the main topic of the day, Castleman and I have been friends for a really long time, and I have a lot of internet friends that talk about movies, but I don't have that many internet friends that also work on movies, or at least friends from that era. And so it was sort of a complete shock to me when you at one point tweeted, "Yep, I was Francis Ford Coppola's assistant on Megalopolis." So just to sort of start off, can you talk about and sort of walk us through, how did it come to be?
Yeah, I think I the first thing I said about it was like, oh yeah, I think I said it on like the Close Friends or something. Yeah, Francis Ford Coppola is my boss. Which is just like a crazy moment, but it basically happened as like, it was a right place, right time, right circumstance. It was, so I operate out of Georgia, right? I do films around Atlanta. I live like a little bit outside of Atlanta. So I was going to this program that the university system of Georgia has called the Georgia Film Academy, which is like, it basically, because the business is booming in Atlanta right now, they're trying to get more local crew members so they don't have to keep importing people from LA, New York, or whatever. So basically, the Georgia Film Academy was made to like, train younger students into being more on-set professionals. And I was in that program, and I just gotten into the internship program, where they try and get you as an intern on a feature film that is filming in Atlanta. And actually I'd already been in it like the previous semester, but a bunch of stuff had happened in my life and I hadn't been able to do it. So I was like, I heard that the new Francis Ford Coppola movie was coming later that year, and I was like, oh, that would be a cool thing to get an intern on. And then I heard that that Francis had like asked the Georgia Film Academy to just he wanted to do a lecture with them. Like, he wanted to come to one of the main like campuses and like just talk to a bunch of the interns. And so I just got an invitation to attend this. And when I got there, I think it was like 20, 30 kids. And Francis Ford was just sitting there in a gymnasium with us. And it was just kind of a crazy situation. My buddy Nick was able to snag me a seat in the front row, even though I was running late. So I sat there, and then Francis Ford Coppola just walks up. And it was, and he was just sort of talking about random film things, and then occasionally he would just like ask like film trivia and questions to the group of students. And it was just kind of like a free-for-all, whoever answered things first. And I answered a few of the questions, but I wasn't really thinking of it. But then he also like passed out like applications to be apprentices. Like apprentices to work on the film in some capacity. And we just had to like write some questions down and like answers other questions. And I just sort of filled it out, not thinking.
Do you
too
remember
much
what
of it.
any of them were, sort of?
It was like, which roles on film sets are most likely to become directors? It was stuff like that. It was like, do you know hypothetically what roles lead to which roles, which it was like a bunch of, some of it was factual stuff, a lot of it, some of it was also opinion based. I don't remember a lot of it. Because I just sort of filled it out like, very casually, and I wasn't thinking too much about it. But then he like played like some theater games with us, like Soundball, and then I like
what's
walked
that?
out. Soundball is this thing where it's like a improv thing that you play with actors before rehearsal, where you sort of get in a circle with them and you like pretend to toss a sound around, like and the person and then you toss it to a person. The person has to say that sound, and he has to improv another sound, and then you just start adding more balls to the circle. I'd have to like show a demonstration.
Between Trent and I, we have enough sounds and balls for this.
So
game,
during this whole thing, is he like up at the front of the room, like at a podium, or is he just sort of walking around freeform, just sort of? He's
just sitting in front of us, like, and he's like 10 feet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, this is cool. I mean, I just like watched. I think I'd rewatched like The Godfather Part 2 the night before, so this was like kind of a surreal experience. And
does he have no like security guard? It's just like him.
Yeah. He had like assistants with him. And
okay.
Stuff. Yeah, and I'm sure there's like security somewhere to make sure nothing happened. I wasn't looking for him, I guess. But yeah, it was just a very casual thing. And it was just like a cool experience, right? And so I'm just walking out of it. And I think I think his assistant just like stopped me and asked me what my name was when I was walking out. And I was like, oh, just Joseph or whatever. But I didn't really think about it. And then I just sort of talked with some of the other people who were there, and then I began driving home. And I think I called my mom, because my mom's like favorite movie is The Godfather. So like she was like probably more hyped about it than I was. And as I was on the call for my mom, like all of a sudden, like I began getting a number from California, and my mom was like, hang up on me right now. And it was Francis's assistant who asked me to like basically turn around and come to like this, come to a location to meet with her and Francis. And somehow I just ended up becoming an apprentice. It was just like, it was probably the craziest day of my life.
So where'd you go, and then what was discussed?
So I went to, he bought like an old motel in, he bought an old motel in Peachtree City, Georgia, which is near Fayetteville, where 12th Studios is, where all the Marvel movies are shoot. So it was like very close to the major studio in Atlanta, and he just bought it just so he could renovate it, and it's standing there now. It's called the All Movie Hotel. But I briefly met with him, and then I was like hired, and so basically what I learned was that I would, like, during pre-production, I would be sort of helping him like build this hotel for like that he was going to be making his like base while he was in Atlanta. So he was going to be, so as it is now, it's really cool. It has like a screening room, it has editing bays, it was sort of like converted to become like a like a whole place for like housing and making films. It's pretty cool. Look it up, All Movie Hotel. But and so for the next couple months, I just helped Francis Ford Coppola like build this hotel. Like he gave us like this old moviola to like refurbish. So it's like an old editing machine from the 60s, and he just wanted it as like a little display piece. And so we were just like doing things with like film equipment. But every now and then he would just like, we were like working on something, and he would just come in and like just start talking to us, and we just sort of dropped what we were doing, and he just listened to him. It was really weird, but it was great. It was just like a surreal experience.
So when you say build the motel, I'm envisioning like physical construction of walls and such.
No, that was of course done by like constructional people, but we're doing like organizational stuff and like, getting rid of like the old stuff from the hotel. It wasn't like the most glamorous work, but it was just kind of like, okay, I don't know what's leading to this, but it was just kind of like, I think I still remember I was like, we were trying to move like this huge heavy thing, and I was just like, I was like on the ground, like using my legs to like shove a pallet underneath this thing. I just remember like laying on the concrete and looking up at the balcony as like Francis was watching me do this. And I was just like, okay. And then he like invited us to see like Black Panther 2 or something early, like a month early. It was just like, yeah. So it's just like a couple months of just being able to like listen to this guy who's like obviously has so much experience in film and so much knowledge and so much like opinions and like it was like it's not something that happens. That's the thing. It like many people when I finally got to be on set, many people are just like, this just doesn't happen. This is not like an actual role in movies. This is not and so it was just like my general just thought is like the insane luck and privilege that I had to just be there.
So how did the motel building translate to you getting on set, and then what were you sort of doing on set?
So by the time we it was like so basically we just sort of helped him build a base of operations for when he was making the movie. So this was like that's how I was involved in pre-production. And then when the film started shooting, basically, he was like, okay, I don't have time while we're shooting to mentor you guys. I think, one of us became like, one of the main people, and he just sort of like put us off in whatever, position we seemed to like. And I think I had mentioned to him that I liked doing art department stuff. So he was like, okay, go help with like the set dressing guys. So basically I was helping out with set dressing on set, but also if he needed something, I would just help out. Like if he needed me to run back to the hotel and grab something or do anything like that, I was just like his gopher sometimes. So I would help him out, but I was also helping out with the art department, who at that time was being run by Beth Mickle, whose most recent work is working with James Gunn on Superman and stuff. So that was also really cool. And he just sort of said, okay, go help with these people. And they didn't always need my help, but it was just cool to be like there. And I think a lot of what I was doing was just watching what was happening and just sort of watching Francis working. Because I think the most significant week was being there for rehearsals of the movie, where I just got to see the movie being like built by the actors and especially seeing how he works with actors. Cause like as a director, it was just fascinating to see, this guy who's gotten, the performances out of Pacino, out of De Niro, all these, old time actors. Just, this is apparently how Francis Ford Coppola, rehearses with his actors, which would be, he plays soundball with them. He does improv games. It was just a very fascinating environment to be in. Rehearsal was really surreal.
So these rehearsals, were they ever on set, or were they in sort of
it was a week and a half before shooting started with the crew. Well, I mean with the actual cast. So I think a couple of them weren't there because they for example, Adam Driver wasn't there. He was shooting Ferrari. I forget who, but Shia LaBeouf, Jon Voight, Natalie Manuel, the majority of the crew were all there.
And were they was this on a stage, or?
It was actually, it was in a gym. I believe there's a documentary about the making of the movie, because Mike Figgis, this documentary maker, was there making a documentary about the film. So whenever that comes out, you'll probably see me in the background, like the actors will be doing their thing, and you'll just see me in a blue jumpsuit in the background. That was another thing. He had so we would be recognizable and easily known as the Apprentices. We were required to wear these blue coveralls that he bought for us every day.
Oh, sort of like Michael Myers wears. Were they navy blue?
Yeah, there were these navy
or
blue.
Michael.
No,
Michael.
I I still have one of them. It's in my closet. I could show you. But yeah, it looks like it was basically what Michael Myers would wear, but it was like navy blue. And
what was the reason for, like, just so that he could know which people were?
So you'll actually see people in the movie. You will see apprentices in blue coveralls, and I was actually and I just randomly found this out. For like a brief moment, I was supposed to be in the movie
as what?
But as one of the apprentices, like who work with Adam Driver. Because if you look at the movie, there's like you see a bunch of kids in like blue coveralls that say Design Authority. And they actually fitted me. I actually had to shave my beard. I had to like they sent me to makeup to get a haircut and everything. So they fitted me for the Design Authority thing. But I just didn't work because I was too tall. And they needed to look like the kids were shorter. So I got a free haircut out of it. Yeah, so I was very much almost in the movie, but I'm not really on camera type of person, so I didn't mind it too much.
I guess since everyone on film sets wears black, the navy blue, it marks you as like the other, but also it seems like you had the all access like pass for all departments to have to accommodate you and just be like, yeah, you can help, like go do that, I guess.
Yeah, Again, it's not something that you'll ever find in the film industry. It's just something Francis likes doing. I think he just really wants to facilitate like the next generation, and he just like especially like one of us became his assistant going forwards after the movie.
How many of you were there?
There were like, if you look, I think there's like 10 of us credited in the credits of the movie.
And where did they come from? Did other people come from the same meeting you were at?
Yeah, I was like, I think originally it was like 4 or 5 of us came from that original meeting. And then a few of us were just added on from other sources. Yeah.
Do you know how long he's done this program sort of thing?
If I know, like, if you guys are familiar with his film, One from the Heart, when he like built a studio to make that movie, he was doing apprenticeship programs all the way back then.
And so when you were working on like art department, the times that you were working there, do you remember which sets or like sequences from the movie you were working on?
Oh yeah, I definitely remember that. I remember, if you guys have seen the movie, the John Voight Mansion was like this enormous mansion in Buckhead, Atlanta. It was just like a shockingly huge mansion in the middle of the city. And that was like a really, like, if you know the famous scene where Shia LaBeouf gets pierced in the ass by an arrow, I was just there as like the prop maker was making the arrows that get fired from.
So you helped shoot Shia LaBeouf in the ass?
No, yeah. Like I was, so I was like part of like, I saw like the bedroom set and everything come together. Where John Voight has a boner.
Sure.
Yeah.
So as the sort of pseudo set dresser, is it just like, go put this on that shelf over there, like cut this out and put this on the wall, like put this in a frame, like what are you sort of doing? Yeah, it was just
very like, there's like a dinner scene and I like set the table. Mm-hmm. I clean things. I was just like doing random gopher stuff. Like, I was just like, just sort of, you hurry up and wait. I was just really busy at times, and then other times I was just sitting around waiting to be needed. But yeah, it was just pretty basic set dresser type things. There was like 2 other set dresser guys, and I don't think I'm not even credited as a set dresser. I was just sort of there as like an additional help, just so I could be some use on set. Just
talking about Francis Ford Coppola, I guess. Like, was what? There's all sorts of stories out there about the movie, but
yeah, I know
it's a controversial movie. But like, from your own personal experience, what was it like? What were the vibes like on set, and what did you see, I guess?
Okay, yeah. So the vibes were not. I do know that like when people are like reporting it as like Apocalypse Now levels, no, it was not even remotely that bad. like the worst I can say from what I know is that the movie was going over budget, so they so like by Christmas time they had to, there was like some shakeups with like departments because of budget cuts. Like I ended up leaving the movie eventually because of budget cuts, and it's just like it happens, right? And so that was like my perspectives. There's a couple months of the shoot that I hear maybe got worse, but I wasn't particularly there to like have any specific statement on them. But overall, I don't think it was as quite as a chaotic shoot as everyone was making it out to be.
Just in terms, these can be condensed, but from your memory, what was your best day and what was your worst day of shooting?
One thing they just randomly had me doing is because are you familiar with the blind man's process is, or the poor man's process?
No.
It's how you sort of film a car scene, but on a studio stage. And and they did it like in a very classic way where they had like a backdrop of a city sort of going by on a track as
Sure.
The car was just in place. And so that the car would look be realistically, bucking up and down. They had me at the front of like this limo that Shia LaBeouf was in, just like sort of humping it. So I was sort of humping Shia LaBeouf's limo just for like while they were filming, and then like they'd stop, and then I just go back to it. And I think I remember Shia LaBeouf came out of the limo, and I had briefly talked with him at rehearsal. And when he saw, and so when he saw me like in front of the limo, he said, "Is that you humping the limo? You're doing a great fucking job." So that's like, that was a weird day, but it was fun. So
when you were instructed to do that task, were they like push the car back and forth?
But I was humping it.
Yeah,
that's that's the best way to describe it.
Cool. And was there a really bad day you can remember, or something bad, weird,
Or stressful day?
Yeah, something like that.
I remember one time I was like sent, like Francis was like, "Oh, okay, I left my like Apple Watch back at the hotel. Can you like get it there?" I think he needed something that was specifically on his Apple Watch, so he like asked me to like. And actually, I think there was also like a prop or something. So like I had to like drive back like an hour to the hotel from where we're shooting in the middle of Atlanta and back, in time for the shot, I think. So that was, in terms of like little tasks, I remember that was like, I remember like, I don't know if it was stressful, but it was like intimidating. Was Adam Driver's first day on set. So everybody else who I met, like I was pretty just like, oh, okay, this is a big industry person, but all right, they're just a person, Adam Driver's kind of scary, and I'm not just like saying that in like a negative way. He's just like he has a presence to him, right? And I know that he's like he's very like he keeps to himself, He's a very serious actor, and he's very into his craft, and generally you just stay away from him, and let him and do his job, which I totally respect. But. And knowing this, he was just like sort of wandering around the set, and I was just sort of standing there waiting for my next thing, and I saw him, and he seemed to be coming my way, so I stepped out of the way of his way, and when I did that, he just noticed me and started walking over to me, and he's a big guy, like
for you,
he's Kylo Ren for a reason, and he just like asked me for my name. And I think I said something like Joseph, or like just something completely dumb. And he just kind of looked at me like very confused. And then I was like, "Oh, I'm Joseph." And then he's like, "Okay."
Nice.
And then walked away. And it was just, that was like the most intimidated I was by anybody on set. But he's cool.
I found whenever I meet someone kind of famous in a band or just like randomly on the street, and I'm like, "Hey man, nice to meet you." I think the go-to thing for famous people is they like shake your hand and they're like, "Hey, it's nice. What's your name, man?" And then they like say your name back to you, and they're like, "Joseph." Nice to meet you. So I think like someone teaching like the famous like actor class was like, if you meet a fan, say their name back to them, they like that, and then you're out. Because I keep having that happen.
All right, I don't know. Yeah, it was just but yeah, I think the horror stories were probably happening to other people. I was out of that limelight.
At what point in the movie were you cut loose?
Oh, when it was about halfway through production. Around Christmas time when the budget was ballooning. And yeah, they just kind of had to cut corners. So
Can you talk about your last day working?
Yeah, it was fine. I think me and the apprentices took a picture of Francis, and it was fine. Yeah,
And
it
all
was,
the apprentices got cut at once?
like not only a few. I think only a couple got cut. But like a lot of things were just cut. Like it was like going into Christmas break, and a lot of the crew just ended up being downsized, basically. That's why the production designer at the time ended up leaving because she didn't want any of her crew to be cut. Which
Sure.
she's loyal to all of them, so which I respect. So it was just like a general from what I was told, it's just a general budget cut thing.
I mean, it's regardless of the duration, it was an awesome work experience. I'm
Exactly.
sure.
Like I think that was just really what I was thinking about. Is like I was on the movie for 4 months. And it was one of the craziest 4 months of my life. And I learned so much. Like it was basically this enormous educational experience being part of that film. And it's fascinating. And with the movie out and everything, like I've been tracking like all the wide variety of responses to the film because everyone has like a different take on the movie, and I think that's fascinating. It's whatever you say about the film, it's very different.
Yes.
Hey,
So
I liked it on Letterboxd. I couldn't rate it because I couldn't figure out what to give it, but I liked it.
yeah, no, I mean it's but the thing is, people have come up and said, "Oh, I hated that movie. You worked on one of the worst movies ever." I'm like, whatever. And other people have come up and like, "Dude, that shit was crazy. I loved it." I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. Because I think Francis, everything he had described about the movie to me was very much he wanted to make something weird. He wanted to make something weird that was obviously outside of the studio system and something that was unlike anything that you're seeing in movie theaters today. And whatever else you say, I think he succeeded at that with flying colors.
Definitely.
Can you bestow upon us any other like single chunk of wisdom or information he may have given you in your time together? Because I like hearing how he was thinking about Megalopolis,
As a director, he is very much, and it's funny that like one of his most known collaborations is George Lucas, who's not his technical expertise is not with actors. Well, Coppola is very much an actor's director. He's very much like in there with his actors. He does not sit in a room aside from us at the set. Like a lot of directors that I've worked with, they're like off to the side and you barely see them. They're like just reviewing footage as it's being shot, and they only come out to talk to actors and block occasionally. He is there next to the camera. He's sitting there right next to the camera, right near the actors, so he can be right there in the action with them. He's very involved in that. And he very much like he always tries. He's also very collaborative because I think of this movie, he really let a lot of things go to the actors. Like they were giving suggestions about their characters, and being there with the rehearsal was really important too, because like seeing how he does those in-person rehearsals and how he's able to just sort of coordinate with all the actors, get them in a room together where they're working with each other and able to communicate with each other, both within the script, but also work on the subtext work, right? He just had them act out scenarios. I remember during rehearsal, he actually had us go to like, it was like a little bit after Halloween, and he like actually had us go to like, I think it was like a Spirit Halloween and buy like costumes for the actors so that they could like act out like a masquerade ball, but in character. So he would like during rehearsals he would do a lot of stuff like that. Um, he really wanted to, and he would like he also had like a bunch of furniture in the rehearsal space where he would like set up a set just with like a table and some chairs he just had on board so that people could like go ahead and begin blocking almost, or if not specifically blocking, but go ahead and getting the feel for what their scenes would be like.
So the film obviously like relies on like visual effects a lot. And can you talk about what you sort of saw in terms of the early stages of that? Is it big blue screens or?
That's actually another thing. I did not see a single blue screen during my time on set. That was almost entirely and after the budget cuts thing, because Francis was wanting to keep everything very practical. But I think the effects the cost of that seemed to like lead him to go more towards the way the film is now. Because a lot of things were, because he was making use of the volume. Because I remember being there on the day that they're using the volume set for one of Adam Driver's scenes on the Chrysler Building, and it was really cool. Being out there on the volume. Fascinating like usage of camera and technology. He seemed to really be embracing that, but I think as the budget was what it was, I think they resorted to using more blue screens after that point. Because I have a buddy who was on the film like after I left, who told me that most of what he was doing, because he was on it as a rigging grip intern. Shout out to Damon, who you met.
I didn't know he worked on it. Yeah,
he also worked on it. And he was a rigging grip intern. But he said he was rigging lights over a lot of blue screens. So that was mainly something I think they had to resort to.
But so everything you saw in your 4 months was like practical and was just like rooms and sets that were all there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Trent, do we want to start wrapping up?
Yeah, Parth, you lead the way.
So, Castleman, as you moved out of Megalopolis territory and moved on to other things, do you have anything you're working on or anything you want to talk about that's going to come out or that you're thinking about coming out?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of features, I've just been a PA on a few features since then. But in terms of personal projects, I may have some short films that might finally be released. They've been in the festival circus, but they might finally be released to the public soon. Hopefully have that. I have a podcast I do with my buddies Emil and Renzo called the Dopio Podcast. Find it anywhere you find podcasts. We took a break for a while, but we're gearing up for season 2 right now. And yeah, I think that's about it. I'm currently in pre-production for my next short film, and I'm in early development for my first feature.
And Trent, can you ask the Big Kahuna?
So the Big Kahuna final question is, what is the last great film you watched? And the only criteria is that it has to be great and not just good. And it can be a rewatch or a first-time viewing.
I feel like we might have spoiled what your answer is going to be.
Yeah. Well, it's I saw Interstellar at AMC Lincoln Square IMAX in 70mm, and it may have changed my life, possibly. I stared into the void and found some warmth, yeah,
there's not too much warmth to be found these days, so that's good to hear.
Sometimes we think about the vast despair of the never-endingness of space, but that movie's all about maybe that there's love out there.
Hey, do not go gently into that good night,
Yeah.
But literally, it's about the friends you make along the way.
It might be. I think I working in film, it definitely is.
Thank you so much to Joseph Castleman McDaniel, who, was a part of Francis Ford Coppola's Apprentice program on Megalopolis, but also in his own work as a producer, production designer, and first AD, but he's also Parth's friend, and thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate your time.
I thanks for having me, guys. This is awesome.
Yeah, and now we're having to do the outro part with Castleman here, but thanks so much for listening, everybody. You can check us out on all your major podcasting platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Stitcher, whatever the fuck. We're there. And you can also check us out on our social media on Twitter and Instagram. Thanks so much, Castleman.
Yeah, Castleman's still here, even though it's the very end of the episode. Usually it's just Parth and I kicking it, but Castleman, our guest from the interview, he's still here. Wait, Castleman, say something to prove you're still here.
Oh, no.
Wait,
he's not
no. Okay, that's it. That's him laughing. Okay,
There we go.
we can be done now.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.